This Civic Media podcast is sponsored by UW Organ and Tissue Donation. Organ donations are desperately needed, and now is the right time to become an organ donor. Talk to your family. Get the dot. Save lives. Go to heroicdeed.com.
This is your WMDX Daily News Roundup for Mad Radio 92.7 FM and 1580 AM in Madison.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. Wisconsin is joining a lawsuit challenging one of President Trump's many new executive orders, specifically the one that says the federal government will no longer recognize children born in America to parents who are here illegally as citizens. President Donald Trump signed a flurry of executive orders on his first day in office, many of them focused on immigration. One of them says the federal government will no longer consider kids born on American soil citizens if their parents are here illegally. That order stands contrary to the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which was ratified in 1868 after the Civil War. It says all people born or naturalized in the U.S. are citizens. Now 20 states are filing a lawsuit in U.S. District Court in Massachusetts. Governor Tony Evers called Trump's order egregious and wrong-headed and said Wisconsin is joining the lawsuit to protect Americans' rights guaranteed in the Constitution. Attorney General Josh Kaul says the Constitution, federal law, and previous Supreme Court rulings are clear. People born here are citizens. America is one of at least 30 nations with birthright citizenship. Governor Tony Evers will deliver the State of the State address tonight. His office says he'll focus on lowering costs for Wisconsinites, affordable housing, support for public schools, childcare, and mental health care. And after the Madison school shooting, he said he would soon unveil his most robust gun reform proposals yet. We also learned the governor will release his full budget and host a budget address next month. That's where we'll learn all his top priorities in the budget before it heads to Republicans in the legislature. The State of the State address is tonight at 7 at the Capitol. After that, Republicans will hold their own rebuttal. Of course, we'll bring you recaps tomorrow, but if you'd like to listen live, it'll be right here on 92.7 WMDX Radio. And Wisconsinites are now paying the lowest tax burden in more than 50 years. That's according to a new analysis from the nonpartisan Wisconsin Policy Forum. The tax burden is the ratio between our income and what we pay in taxes. In 2024, it was 9.6%. That's the lowest in Wisconsin since at least 1970. According to researchers, it's because the state's income is growing while lawmakers are making, quote, aggressive efforts, end quote, to keep taxes low. Overall, taxes paid to the state grew 1.6% in 2024. Meanwhile, local government taxes grew 2.7%. One category in that, gross local property taxes, grew by 4.6% last year. That's the most in at least 15 years. Revenue limits from state lawmakers have led to slower tax increases, but they've also created a situation where municipalities' revenue grows slower than inflation. That's a large part of what causes cities to propose referendums. It illustrates the larger trend here in Wisconsin. Residents may be paying less, but over time, their communities may raise taxes anyway locally to cover expenses. The state currently has a $4 billion surplus. And Madison police are mourning one of their canines. Bowie was a 9-year-old Belgian Malinois. He and his handler, Officer Eric Dish, had multiple awards together, including National Canine of the Year and Wisconsin Canine Handler of the Year. He was diagnosed with bone cancer in October of last year, had surgery, spent a couple months at home with the Dish family recovering, and even came back to work this month. But when he went to the vet, they found new aggressive liver cancer. His family lost Bowie's brother Jagger, a retired police canine, just a few months earlier. Bowie did it all. He assisted with nearly 400 arrests, found 150 suspects, physically caught 17 violent suspects, and found kilos of illegal drugs. Madison police are thanking him for his service. For more stories, you can head to WMDXradio.com. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. You're listening to 92.7 WMDX News.
Marquette defeats Seton Hall. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Marquette Golden Eagles with a win on the road over Seton Hall. The final 76-59. A big night for Cam Jones, who led with 19 points after a poor showing over the weekend in their loss against Xavier. Head coach Shaka Smart.
You know, if you think about it, his role has changed so much in just, the last several months. But I've got to make sure I help him understand that heavy is the head that wears the crown, and there's no two people that applies to in this program more than him and me.
Marquette hosts Villanova on Friday. The Badgers with a loss at UCLA, 85-83. The Loss snapping a 7-game winning streak for the Badgers. They'll host Nebraska Sunday at noon at the Kohl Center. And in baseball, former Brewer and Yankee pitcher C.C. Sabathia voted into the Hall of Fame. The 6'6", 300-pound lefty came to Milwaukee in 2008 in that trade with Cleveland and led the Brewers to the postseason for the first time in 26 years. With Sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. Cameron Diaz would love to be in the sequel of The Mask, but there is a condition. The Something About Mary actress who starred in the first Mask as Tina Carlisle in 1994 said she would absolutely love to do another installment, but only if Jim Carrey is involved. In the film, Carrey played a banker who develops magical powers when he puts on a mask that makes him an ornery cuss. Carrey says he is open to another chapter of the franchise if the circumstances are right. Translation, show him the do-re-mi. If you're looking for a trip down memory lane, you might want to revisit David Lynch's foray into network television, 1992's Twin Peaks. Inspired by David Lynch's passing last week, I got the urge to check it out, and it does not disappoint. It's beautifully shot, as is all of Lynch's work, has great music, and it's got incredible acting by a phenomenal cast. It might seem a bit dated, but the story holds up. No spoilers, as casual fans might have forgotten who killed Laura Palmer. Beatles and or John Lennon fans will be interested to know that a new documentary about John and Yoko is coming this spring. Magnolia Pictures has announced that 1-to-1, John and Yoko will get an IMAX release April 11th. The film covers an 18-month period of John and Yoko's time in Greenwich Village in the early 1970s and features restored, never-before-seen footage. 1-to-1 will drop on Max for us streamers in late May of this year. Imagine not getting a role in a movie that is not live action and has no real humans because the producers tell you look like a Smurf. That is what happened to actor Josh Gad. Gad was up for a role in Avatar in 2009, but was told director James Cameron didn't think he had the right body type. Apparently, Gad has such a strange body they couldn't even change it with CGI like they did every other actor. For more insights, check out Gad's new book, In Gad We Trust. Award shows seem to always have issues finding hosts. Not so for the Grammys, who welcomed Trevor Noah back to MC the festivities this year, which will be his 5th consecutive. Variety reports that the Emmy-winning comedian will also be a producer on this year's show. The 67th Grammy Awards ceremony will take place February 2 at the Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles. Speaking of hosts, Conan O'Brien is set to host the Oscars, but these days, announcing hosts of the nominating ceremony has even become a big deal. Academy Award nominations will be announced Thursday, January 23. This year, hosting the announcements will be comedians Bowen Yang and Rachel Sennett. If you want to watch the event live, you'll have to set your alarm, as the announcements take place at 7:30 a.m. The actual Oscar ceremonies are March 2nd. For more showbiz fun, tune into Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Cloudy and breezy today with some off and on light snow possible, around a half inch or less of accumulation by the time it winds down this evening. Our high 21, so it will be warmer today. Tonight, light snow will end down to 8 above. Tomorrow, sunshine with a high of 17. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. It is 8 degrees outside right now.
That's your WMDX Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at mad.radio. The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.